Hello everybody. Did you hear that we had a tropical cyclone here in Sub-Tropical Queensland, where you're not supposed to have tropical cyclones? Anyway, it was a new experience for all of us who live in the bottom part of Queensland, and also for all the poor souls who live in the northern part of New South Wales, which is to the south of us. You might have to look up your weather maps to see where everything is. But this cyclone was wandering down the Queensland coast, and it was super slow. It just kept on drifting down, drifting down. Where will it land? Will it go out to sea? Will it go to New Zealand? No one knew, but we had to make preparations. And yes, it did hit, and it hit Philly Mignon and I, my beautiful wife, right here in southeast Queensland. And it also affected communities well to the north of us and for almost 500 kilometres south of us. It was a massive storm. So this poem explains exactly what happened. I should mention that cyclones get named by bureaus of meteorology around the world, and this one was called Alfred. Anyway, it was supposed to be called Anthony, by the way, but that's the name of our Prime Minister, so someone thought that that wouldn't be too good, so it got called Alfred. So I present to you, Right, said Fred. Right, said Fred, by Philip Mignon. Tropical Cyclone Alfred wandered down the Queensland coast in search of poor unfortunates to ruffle up the most. The weather guys went crazy. How they love a good disaster. The news reports dramatic, fearful merchants, these broadcasters. There'd never been a cyclone that had ventured this far south. We quivered in expectancy to stare it in the mouth. The system was enormous and would surely pack a punch. With catastrophic wind and rain, our lives would end in crunch. Methodical arrangements now were quickly put in gear, ensuring that our property would brave the cyclone's spear. Now we are avid gardeners, hanging baskets everywhere, all lush with verdure splendour for our hearts to love and share. No wicked wind would threaten all our precious plant delights, thus relocation to the house while yet we had sunlight. Then all the outdoor furniture was shoved inside as well. Statues, wind chimes, barbecue were stashed within pell-mell. Our caravan was loaded up with food and drink and flannels. In case of power failure, our tough van had solar panels. The water tanks were filled in case the mains would cease to flow. Of course, it had a toilet, most important, don't you know? So long as howling windstorms didn't set our van to flight, our backup was completed. All our plans were locked up tight. Wednesday night, the 5th, predicted Alfred to arrive. We'd covered all the bases so to keep ourselves alive. Well, Alfred slowed his progress and so wallowed out at sea to feed on ocean energy to better suit his needs. Our countrymen all down the coast began to feel his power, with winds and rain and massive waves and all the beaches scoured. So Thursday night was scheduled for the storm to make landfall. The waiting was exhausting as he lined us up to maul. Reports upon the telly elevated past extreme. To empty out our freezer, we binged fiercely on ice cream. And still the stubborn cyclone swum in circles far offshore. The pressure sure was telling, oh, we couldn't take much more. So Friday night was chosen to become our Armageddon. Our wits were worn, our nerves were shot, high spirits now were leaden. Well, there's a thought. The spirits always promised to protect us. We pleaded to our YouTube friends for prayers that would affect us. Responses were amazing. Whole communities did rally. The energy engulfed us as we faced this deadly valley. It came to pass that Alfred sailed precisely overhead. On Saturday he landed. It was March the 8th instead. He'd lost most of his power, the result of running late, although our southern neighbours were still copping all his hate. I looked up to his centre eye as on his path he trod. The vision was amazing. I am sure that I saw God. We dodged this nasty bullet via prayers from round the globe. We paid them forward quickly to our southern neighbour's lobe. Our home was like a greenhouse, packed with all the plants within. The insects that accompanied them all sported comfy grins. We hadn't lost our power, so our gratitude was real. We were happy campers. We had scored a lucky deal. On Sunday, Alfred wasn't done, although he'd turned inland. His soggy tail drenched us, and he throttled up his fan. It blew and rained with no respite. We hunkered down instead. This cyclone was vindictive at whoever named him Fred. Eventually it settled. Alfred blew himself to bits, though 3 and something million surely had the old Alf shits. The damage that he'd caused set records right across the board. This natural disaster left the population floored. But Aussies are resilient. Whole communities pitched in to help their stranded neighbours with a warm and loving grin. Climate change was on display in all its ghastly dread, and all because some weather nerd baptised a cyclone Fred. I got to tell you, that was an experience. For those of you who live internationally, and I have a following from the Northern Hemisphere, a tropical cyclone is the same as a hurricane, as it's known in around the Atlantic, or a typhoon, as it's known in Asia. So anyway, massive big storm, and some of the winds, there were waves, I should say, the waves that were measured offshore rose to 40 feet. So it gives you an idea of what was happening in the Coral Sea, just over there actually. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the poem. We took some days to get everything stacked away, and then it took even longer to put everything back, because you had to remember where all your hanging baskets went and all your plants went and all the statues went, and well, it didn't really matter. At least we're alive, and that was great. And it was all thanks, as the poem says, we reached out to our YouTube community, and people sent prayers from all around the world. And I think that's why Philly Mignon and I and our neighbours escaped the worst of it. We just got huge winds and tons of rain, whereas people below us, in one day, the day after the cyclone, got 16 inches of rain in one day, plus the wind. And they lost power, and they lost internet. So we were very blessed, and the people to the south of us had a really, really rugged time. So we're glad that's all over. And because that beat the history books, we don't want that to happen ever again. Thank you very much. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the poem. Please like, share and subscribe. And for all those who've been through hurricanes, cyclones, typhoons, whatever, my heart goes out to you. I know exactly how you feel. So I will leave you there, and bye-bye for now.